bell. It is Tuesday, January 23rd, 2024. It is 60 seconds after the bell, which means it is time to go beyond the charts, beyond the news, and beyond the bell. Brought to you by our good friends over at the Blue Sky Trading Company. For the clearest path to a live brokerage account in the prop firm industry, make sure you check us out at bluesky.pro. We also have live trading going on every single trading day in the Discord. Just go to the webpage. You can get your combine. You can get an invite to our Discord. You can keep watching the show, and then you're all set, right? It's just profits, profits, profits from there. Well, no, of course, we do have a little work to do, and that's what this show is about. So to start things off today, guys, how did everyone do today? In the chat there, this is an interactive show. I forgot that for the first 10 minutes yesterday, so my apologies. But make sure you let me know, are you green? Are you red? Etc., etc. Hey, from the UK, you're staying up late tonight, Christopher. I appreciate that. My brother-in-law is from just outside the London area, so I know you guys are, I think, about 6 or 7 hours ahead of where we're at. So guys, before we get started and before we talk about the markets in general, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel. You need to subscribe to get involved in the conversation. And in about 60 seconds, we're going to jump into the big picture and talk about the markets. But first, I definitely want to know whether you were green or red today. I've got a fun little story that I'm going to tell you after we talk about the markets a little bit. It's been a week of kind of tech hell for me, and I know some of you guys can relate to that. So I definitely want to get a little bit into that. But I know everybody wants to talk about the markets and all the excitement or lack thereof that there was today, and we're definitely going to talk about that as well. I see some green, mostly man, that's great. You know, when the markets close, well, you know, futures markets don't all technically close for more than a little bit, but when we can all talk together, that's definitely something that I want to get into. Slight green to close the day. That's beautiful. So guys, let's go ahead and let's get into the big picture. There we go. I knew I'd get that eventually. It's still the second show. We're still working out all the bugs, right? All right, so guys, we're going to talk about in our next segment the lesson of the day, and we're going to get a little deeper specifically into the markets. Price action contraction leads to price action expansion. But I just want to talk about the day that was today. Okay, so everybody loves the NASDAQ, right? And the NASDAQ and the the S&P are trading very similar, but a lot more movement here in the NASDAQ. So I want to get into this. Okay, specifically, and this is a beautiful chart. I was talking about this with some of my clients earlier today. This is why. I said this yesterday. I'm going to say it today, probably going to say it tomorrow as well. If you are newer to the trading game and you're not exactly sure where to start with your technical analysis, there's 100 different routes you can go, but just throw a candlestick chart up on a 4-hour and start labeling the areas where price action consolidates, right? So we go back here right at the beginning of the year, right? This is January 3rd. So this is pretty much one of the first couple trading days of the year. Look at this little area here where we consolidated, right? Okay, this is right around the 16,720 area, so right about 16,700. Okay, and this seems like a little innocuous level on the chart, right? Nice little buying tail here. But again, keep in mind, these are 4-hour candles. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So for the better part of 20 hours, we were caught in a very tight little price range. Well, we broke out from that. We didn't really think much about this level till we came up through. Now, we stormed up through this level, but if you'll notice, we had to come back here and confirm that this was in fact support. Resistance becomes support. So this had been support, and one of the tenets of technical analysis, guys, previous resistance becomes support, previous support becomes resistance. Doesn't work 100% of the time. Guys, if there was something in the markets that worked 100% of the time, we'd all be trading it. You wouldn't be watching the show. I wouldn't be doing this show. We'd just be going to the bank and taking out all our dollars, right? Maybe throwing a bunch of 20s or 100s on the bed or jumping into it like Scrooge McDuck used to for all you millennial DuckTales fans like myself, right? But we pushed up, and this is a basic, what I call break, retest, and go pattern. So again, I'll do this over here so it's a little easier to see. Break, retest, and go. Okay, and it's not always that clean, right? Sometimes we can come a little bit below it. Support and resistance are both art and science. I'd say they're about 75% science and about 50% art. Okay, so we did that here. We pushed back up and consolidated for quite some time, right? And look what happened. We went back and retested this area. And guys, when you see this, and as soon as we began to push up here, that was a major technical bullish signal. What did we have going on here? We basically had a triple top. Okay, triple tops are very rare on a 4-hour chart in the futures indexes, right? And so triple tops are very rare. Quadruple tops are even rarer. So once we got this signal down here, this was a play that we were going to go try this upper area of resistance. Sure enough, not only did we try it, we kicked the door down like that meme of Big Bird kicking into the room, right? We came all the way up here, had, just rocketed up, oh gosh, a few hundred points from here, right? And then look at this, nice little consolidation today. Now, it sucks when a lot of this consolidation happens during the day, right? But we'll get a little more into this in the lesson of the day momentarily, but I definitely want to break down a little more of the markets in general. So let's get down to the 5-minute chart. Okay, this is interesting, guys. Most of you know that have attended my webinars or watched yesterday's show that I am a big believer in VWAP, volume-weighted average price. And VWAP was basically ignored for most of the morning. But guys, look, once we made this push up, this is a textbook VWAP tap. This is one of my favorite plays, guys. Now, full disclosure, because I try to always be very transparent with my trading. I didn't take this trade, and I'm going to tell you why in a little bit. It relates to my tech hell story, right? But basically, this was the very beginning of, again, confirming that we're strong, confirming that we're bullish. We actually tested it one more time, and from there, we just rocketed up. And again, guys, when an area is tested multiple times, whether it's support or resistance, and it holds, we definitely want to be looking for setups in that opposite direction, the opposite of the hold, right? So we move down here, hold VWAP, move down here, hold VWAP, and sure enough, guys, if you had gotten in here or even waited for a break of the +1 standard deviation band, it was Christmas in January, especially if you were decently position sized, which is something we're also going to talk about a little later. Whoop. Okay, Google seems to think that I was telling it to play. Let me unplug my Google. If it plays for more than 5 seconds, I think Blue Sky gets a couple of copyright strikes on their YouTube page. So I definitely don't want to do that. But I wasn't talking to you, Google. Anyway, you almost got a little yellow card concert there as I was going. Okay, so let's move to the ES. We want to go back to, actually, we don't need to go to our 4-hour chart there because it's very similar here. And guys, yeah, so I'm going to be honest with you. As traders, especially as index traders, we don't want the ES and the NQ trading together, right? We don't want that for the simple reason that when they're trading in lockstep, right? When they're doing basically the same thing today. I mean, what did we talk about with the NQ? A lot of choppiness early on, push down, get up above VWAP, VWAP tap, and go. Okay, it's exactly what happened in the NQ. We don't want that. Okay. Simply because that doesn't give us 2 instruments to trade. It really only gives us 1. Now, we're getting into some of the major news right now. We're getting into earnings season, right? So let me, I have this off screen, but I definitely want to pull it up and just mention we've got, let's see, we've got Tuesday after. We got Netflix today, and then we have, I believe, Tesla tomorrow, Intel on Thursday. So big tech week. If I'm missing any major ones, I apologize, guys, but those are some of the names that jump right out. The airline sort of kicked us off a little bit in the past few days, some of the staples. But yeah, IBM also tomorrow, Texas Instruments. So yeah, a lot of tech, tech tends to lead off earnings season. And this, of course, quarter is no exception. So we'll actually kind of watch the NQ here, especially on the 5-minute, and see if we get a little bit of movement here as we're talking. So again, Netflix, this is the same thing that we've been talking about for years. If you've followed the stock market, it's never about what Apple's earnings are, because Apple's earnings are always good. It's how many iPhones that they sell. Well, now that's transitioning towards services, all that kind of stuff. At Netflix, it has nothing to do with earnings or earnings per share. It's all about subscriber gain, subscriber loss, all that kind of stuff. Now, you've probably heard me say before, as technical analysts, we're not necessarily concerned with the news, and that is true. It doesn't hurt to know what, who's reporting when or that situation. And when you sit down, if you're like me, and some days you get if I don't have any webinars or anything going on, I try to be done with the day, usually shortly after the show is done, and then have the night to myself, other than maybe a half hour of journaling or making sure all my trades are uploaded and all of that. So if you're like that, make sure at the beginning of the day tomorrow, you look at what the earnings were. And if you have access to stock market data, especially with big guys like Netflix, like Tesla, when Apple reports, it'll probably be next week, it doesn't hurt to at least look at what the stock did in after-hours trading, right? If Tesla screams higher tomorrow or Netflix screams higher after the close today, it may have a good bearing on the NQ, especially tomorrow. Now, of course, unlike the stock market, the NQ, the futures have the whole night to react to this news, right? They have the Asian Open, they have the European Open leading all the way to the New York Open at 9:30 Eastern. So a lot of that data can be priced in, and unfortunately, we've actually seen that a lot the last couple of weeks, the big moves happening while most of us in the States here are asleep. So just something to keep in mind as we go forward. So guys, as always, because I said this is an interactive show, make sure you put any questions at any point into the chat here on YouTube. Again, you have to be a subscriber to join the conversation, but I promise you it'll be worth it. I have a couple of questions that people mailed in, but we want to be especially reactive to those of you who are attending on the live stream. So most of you were green today. That's outstanding. If anyone wants to tell me, if anyone who traded something other than the ES or the NQ, go ahead and put it in the chat now. I know the other populars are GC, CL. I haven't gotten much into bonds myself. That's actually one of my trader goals for 2024 is to add the with the ZN and the ZB to my day-to-day trading and at least check it out 2 or 3 times a day. I usually have to watch something kind of move for a few months before I feel comfortable trading it. But it's definitely something that I want to do, especially if we get into a situation where the ES and the NQ are moving in lockstep. This gives us a little more, little something extra to trade. So, guys, with that in mind, it is time for the lesson of the day. Okay, the lesson of the day is something that I talked about momentarily. Yes, absolutely. I will at the end of the question segment, I'll put up the same slide I did yesterday, which tells everyone how to submit questions, because we actually did get a couple that were direct message to me, so I'm going to make sure to get to those momentarily. But as we move into our lesson of the day, we're going to talk about price action contraction and price action expansion. Okay, so we can go all the way back here. Okay, and I want to pull myself up here for just a second so I can illustrate this point. There are no guarantees. There are no certainties within trading, correct? Okay, what did one of my favorite quotes of all time came from many people, but I heard it first from the Macho Man, Randy Savage. The only guarantee in life is that there are no guarantees. However, the market does have one guarantee. Price action expansion leads to price action contraction, leads to price action expansion, contraction, expansion, contraction. That happens 100% of the time. Now, there's a caveat to that, of course. It doesn't always happen on the same time frame. It doesn't always happen giving us notice, et cetera, et cetera. Sometimes it happens slowly. Sometimes it happens a lot bigger. Okay, but let me illustrate that point on this chart. Okay, so as we see here, just start back here. Price action contraction, right? Candles are small, tight ranges, all with basically, within this little area here, leads to price action expansion, leads to price action contraction, leads to price action expansion. This is sort of a little bit of contraction and expansion, right? Not a lot of contraction, but technically still meets the criteria. Expansion, contraction, expansion. Again, guys, large expansion or contraction here. And then a lot of expansion. So what are we seeing now, guys? This is just simply the this little flag pattern. Well, actually, it was a pennant into the afternoon, but this is the markets, right? This is what we look for. So maybe it's tomorrow, maybe it's Thursday, Friday, maybe it's next Tuesday. We're going to get some price action expansion. So on a day like today, especially when the morning was just the indexes just weren't very tradable in the morning. This is something that we need to pay attention to. So that's kind of the lesson of the day in terms of making sure we're patient with this. Okay, a lot of I follow a couple of newsletters that look at the options chains for the SPY, for the QQQs, which is the ETF equivalent of the NQ, right? And we can get little clues on the futures price action by seeing where the big boys are positioned within those option chains. There's also, of course, options on futures, buying, future options on the ES or the NQ, etc. And a lot of people that are much smarter than I am, though that doesn't take much, can spend time analyzing those tables and give us some sort of glimpse of what's going on, right? And, as I read one of those newsletters this morning, it simply talked about this. We're going to get some price action contraction. We're going to get some, I don't like to use the B word, but boring times between now and the last day of the month, which is FOMC, I believe, on the 31st. And we'll have an options expiration a couple weeks after that. Of course, we have, I think, a VIX expiration coming in the next couple of weeks. Regardless, it would not shock me if the next day or two the action is a little choppy without any sort of conviction as well. So that's our lesson of the day, guys. I see a question in the chat that I'm going to get to right now. And that, of course, is going to lead off our trader mailbag. All right. So the question, what are your daily rituals before trading and some of the psychology? And that is an outstanding question. So I am a big believer in routine, right? And this is going to be something I'm going to talk about on a little bit of an aside here in a couple of minutes. My routine has been very disrupted over the past couple of weeks, and that thankfully has not cost me a lot of money in terms of losing trades, but it's cost me some money in not being in winning trades because my setup and what I do day to day was very disrupted. We'll get to that in a minute. But on a typical day, so I'm in the central time zone. I'm in the Chicagoland area, and I try to be at my desk. So the market's open at 8:30. The New York Open is 8:30, even though, again, futures trade nearly 24 hours a day. But I try to stay within the New York hours. It's when futures are most liquid, when the most news comes, and it's where I've had most of my success over the years. I know some people that trade overnight. That's good for them. I'm definitely not one that if I wake up at 3 in the morning, I do not check my charts or pull up anything on my phone. I don't even want that temptation, right? But what I try to do is I try to sit down at my desk with my first cup of coffee at 7 o'clock, so 90 minutes before the open, okay? I will take about 15 minutes and I will look up, any kind of economic news. And I stay away from the usual suspects. You're not going to catch me watching or looking at CNBC or Fox Business or Bloomberg or any of that stuff. Some headlines are helpful, but I really just go look at the charts. Like I said, if there's earnings, I may go check those out and see how the stock reacted the night before. I'm going to, just do kind of my 10,000 foot view, right? Then usually I take about 20 minutes and let the caffeine kick in, let my brain decompress a little bit, check sports scores, the whole nine, right? But as we get about 40 minutes before the open, I try to start getting zoned in. Now, here's actually something as we get to 8:15, so we're 15 minutes before the open. I will actually turn away from my screens. I've got a nice little L-shaped desk up in my office. And I will do about 5 to 10 minutes, depending on how awake or asleep I am, of just basic breathing exercises and meditation, okay? Just basic secular-based stuff. I'll close my eyes, concentrate on, do basic mindfulness type stuff. And the idea is I actually used to listen to, fire up music and get myself ready for the day, right? The same stuff I listen to as I'm getting ready for the show because I want to bring some good energy to you guys. But that was actually very counterintuitive, right? And the bell rings. I've got 2 cups of coffee in me. I was just listening to AC/DC. I'm amped up. Yeah, let's go. Let's trade. And then something happens, and all that magnification of those emotions becomes negative, especially if your first trade is a loser. So actually, I will just if there's noise in the house, I'll put my, nice little noise canceling headphones on with nothing behind them and just breathe. Okay, and just kind of calm myself down. I will spend then a couple of minutes doing some basic visualization exercises, right? Visualize, I believe Josh in the Blue Sky channel has brought these up before. Visualize yourself getting into a trade. Visualize yourself hitting your profit target. Visualize yourself hitting your stop loss. Move on to the next thing, okay? This is something that is very, very important and something that we need to again, get our mind right for what we do. And then the bell rings. I very rarely trade in the first 15 minutes. Okay, very rarely. Probably 3 to 4 trades a month I will trade in the first 15 minutes. Now, I know there's people that trade very successfully in those first 15 minutes. I know those of you that follow Mike in the morning, that he's trading very successfully during those first 15 minutes. That's not to say it can't be done. That's just not what I do, right? And that's great because it tells you that you can trade. You don't have to trade like me or like somebody else or like this. There's the old phrase, there's a million ways to make money in the market. They're all just hard to find, is very, very, very true. So that's my pre-market routine. Hope it answers your question. Christopher asks, for intraday trades, what's the best time frame for the daily bias? So again, I mainly look at 2 time frames. Let me bring my chart back up here and we will take a look at them together. So this is the NQ on the 4-hour, and you'll see here, other than candlesticks, I have no technical indicators on here. Okay, I just want a raw version of what I'm looking at. In fact, here I'll show you. This is how I start most mornings. Okay, and I'll look at some key levels. I'll label some stuff on the charts. Again, I'm a big fan of TradingView, guys. It's just very easy. I don't place my a lot of my trades through TradingView. Most of my trades go through my brokerage. I use Edge Pro X for that. But so and occasionally I'll throw things up on here if I want. I was actually playing around with a new strategy, which is why my paper trading is enabled. Spoiler, it didn't go well, so that strategy probably will not be going into the next phase. Okay, but this is, again, just the stuff that I'm looking at, and then I'm looking at the 5-minute. You can see this is the chart where I'm looking at basically everything that I want to see on a given moment, and here's a little more distilled version. Okay, so I'll go over maybe on a future show since we're kind of closing in on wrapping up here in the next 5 to 8 minutes. Everything I have in my chart and how I use it. In fact, that's what we're going to do tomorrow. I will write that down as soon as we're done. That's called a teaser in the business, so stay tuned. Join us tomorrow. I will break down for you everything that's on this chart and how I use it. Okay. So, so I'm just looking at the 4-hour and the 5-minute. So I have my bias on a 4-hour. I make my trades on the 5-minute, and that's how I do business, literally and figuratively. All right, I see a couple of questions popping up. I want to make sure I get to them. Wayne asks, can you talk about a trading journal practice? Do you have a recommendation template to use for journaling? So another spoiler alert, guys. At the end of the month, I'm going to pull up my trading journal. I'm going to break the whole thing down for you. I just don't have as many trades in there as I'd like right now. But any trading journal software, guys, it is the best investment you're going to use. Okay, I use TraderSync personally. I believe TradingView has or TraderView has a deal with Blue Sky, or they used to. You can check the website for that. EdgeWonk is another one. I know there's a couple more out there. But again, any trading journal software that lets you automatically upload your trades, which most of them do, and tag your trades based on setup, based on whatever, right? Like every one of my trades is tagged on setup. It's tagged on above and below VWAP. The long or short is obviously automatically in there. Profit is automatically in there. Journaling, guys, journaling is a non-negotiable part of your trading success. If you never hear another word that I say to you, if you never tune into this show again, well, first of all, you should, because it's really good. But take this away. Journaling your trading is a non-negotiable part of success. Okay. Everyone asks me, because they know how much I struggled in my first year of trading, how much money I lost, and then I eventually turned around and now I do this for a living. Okay. Everyone that has seen me at trade shows and when I used to travel and do stuff before COVID, and I always get asked, what turned around your trading? And it's a lot of things. It's not just one thing. But if I had to say one, right, Desert Island, you get one thing. It's a trading journal. That I cannot emphasize that enough. I cannot say that enough. If you're not journaling your trading, how the hell do you know what's going wrong, right? That's it. And I'm not just talking about a record of your trades in that you can export to Excel or you can put into, no. Guys, I pay, I think, $170 a year for my trade journal, and it's the best money I spend every single year. I'd pay $1,000 for it. That's just how important it is for me and for me to determine what I do. Okay, so TraderView deal is still active. That's good. All right, guys. So I do have one question or a couple questions. John asked me what's in my cup that I was drinking yesterday. It's the same cup, just water. I don't move to the good stuff until about 7 or 8 o'clock. Actually, I'm heading out later, so probably a little later than that. But just water during the show. If it was something else, a half-hour show, if I had something loaded in there, you would probably know by the end of the half hour. So, Ali asked, what do you consider over trading? Oh boy, how much time do you have? So, I'm just going to tell you what I trade. I trade on average when I've got normal stuff going on and my tech all set up. I make 3 to 5 trades per day. Right, so we're looking at anywhere from 12 to 25 trades per week. Usually it's about 20 trades per week. honestly, any more, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, any more than 10 a day is over trading, especially for a new, inexperienced retail futures trader, which most of us are. Okay. Listen, you show me 50 trades a day and you're consistently profitable with it over months, not weeks, months. Good for you. And I know people like that out there, and that's but again, I'm looking for bigger moves. I'm looking for, medium position size, and I'm looking to ideally make a couple grand a day in what I do. So that's, I hope that answers your question, Ali. Actually, I hope you're watching because you mailed that in. Guys, I do want to say, I want to put this slide up here. If you have any questions, if you're watching this on tape delay, which I know based on our viewership, a lot of you did. If you have any questions for the mailbag, make sure you reach out, and you can see, you can reach out to me on Discord, Trader Matt. I'm in the Blue Sky server. I never direct or cold. I will never cold message you. I'm like, Josh and Mike and all these people. Thankfully, nobody's tried to impersonate me yet in there. But I will never direct message you, and unless you ask me to in the main chat. But you are welcome to direct message me. I'm just Trader Matt. You can also email me at my personal email address, matt@tiresiastrading.com. That's TIRESIS trading.com. And just put Beyond the Bell in the subject line, and I'll make sure and just print it out and bring it down here. All right, so anything else that we need to cover? Okay. All right. All right, guys, so we are closing in on 4:30, I should say, but I do have one quick story to tell you as we're kind of wrapping up here. So there's a principle that I've dubbed the Goldblum principle in trading, right? And it's named after Jeff Goldblum. And the reason is, if you recall in Jurassic Park, Jeff Goldblum has that iconic line that has become a meme where he says, life finds a way. And the Goldblum principle in trading is quite simply, life gets in the way sometimes, right? Now, almost everybody in trading has outside distractions, right? You've got, a spouse, you've got kids, you've got a full-time job outside of this. Most of us are doing this to get out of those full-time jobs, right? And to give that spouse and your family, a better life, and ideally so that individual doesn't need to work if they don't choose to, which, it's kind of the dream, right? But life gets in the way quite a bit, and it has for me the last couple of weeks. So it's very important, guys, once you're, able to afford a little nicer computer system. I know in the Blue Sky channel, they have, we have our battle stations that we post up in there. Well, I had a computer issue last week. My computer kept freezing. It's my main trading computer. 4 hours of tech support, every hardware scan you can imagine, all sorts of different issues, and no resolution. Okay. So Dell ends up sending me a box. I have to send it in. Of course it gets to the place and it's fixed literally in 3 hours, and I just got it back today. Nobody told me what was wrong with it, but it turns out I guess they had to replace like half the guts. There's a new processor, new motherboard, logic board, all that kind of stuff in there. So I don't know what went wrong, and I guess it was covered under the warranty because nobody sent me a bill and I have the system back. So yeah. But anyway, this was about a week and a half of disruption. So down here in my studio, this show and everything that I do here runs off a pretty high-end laptop. So I've been, hauling that upstairs, connecting everything, bring it downstairs, connect everything. And it's just such a pain in the you-know-what. And so my trading volume has been way down this month, right? Because, I got to come down here to do, a meeting with clients and disconnect everything. I got to go upstairs and connect everything to trade again and get in with my multiple monitors. And yeah, so just a thing, right? A thing. So it's okay when life gets in the way. Don't force your trades, okay? There are days you're going to sit down. Christopher, look us up on Discord. Go to bluesky.pro, and I believe still in the lower left-hand corner of the main page, you click on Discord. And, thank you, our main man Raj on the controls tonight has an invite there for you. That's a personalized, it's really not. Anybody can click on it and join. But we got some great things going on in there. I'm in there a lot commenting on stuff. Mike is in there live trading every single trading day. You're going to find the nice dry wit and sarcasm of Josh and myself in there as well. So I definitely encourage you to check that out. So guys, it is 3:30. I appreciate you tuning into this edition of Beyond the Bell. So tomorrow, again, I'm going to break down these charts that you see right here. I'm going to show you everything I have on these charts, why I have it, how I use them, and we'll go from there. So that sounds like a good lesson of the day. So thank you for tuning into this edition of Beyond the Bell. I will see you tomorrow right at the close. Once again, everyone have a great